on the first show, you had mentioned you hurt your back and stuff like that. And one thing I wanted to share with you, dude, is see this wallet?
Yeah. You mean like, wait, hold on. You mean like this big lumpy one that I sit on?
Yeah, pull that thing out.
Dude, this thing's the fucking eyesore of the world. Everything is, where's the camera? See, I'm just like you. Look at this. It's got like hair things sticking out of it because it's so old and withered. And everything I put into it, watch what I could do with it. Hey!
Exactly. It's flimsy.
Everything falls the fuck out. Now, this is my fault, by the way, because I can't seem to find a decent wallet. Do you have any tips?
Well, it's funny you brought that up, man. And this is why we've got back problems. So for old men like us, and even for young people, I ran into this company called Ridge, right?
Okay.
Ridge.
I like the name.
RIDGE, right?
Yeah.
Look at this wallet, right? Carries everything you need, right? And look at this.
Compact.
It's compact, and just like this, you push down, you fan it out. You need a credit card. I got to pay for something. Just that easy. I go pay it. Boom. Put it right back in. And guess what?
You can just flip out and have multiple choice that easy.
That easy. Look how easy this is. And you know how stupid I am. You see how easy that was to fan out just like that, man? Yeah. Look at that, dude.
I'm stupider, but yeah, I get it. Okay.
And then you got
the
cash right on the back here. And guys, look, this episode is sponsored by Ridge. And if you use the promo code YouTube10, that's YouTube 10, you receive 10% off any Ridge product. Guys, I'm telling you, man, look at the difference. Look at the difference. You've got to use Ridge. Monte and the Pharaoh are telling you, please support Monte the Pharaoh. And guess what? They've got other cool stuff. Because I'm an asshole, I just dropped it. Hold on.
It's all the way over there.
Only Monte will do this, folks. They also sell.
How's your back? You okay picking that thing up?
Well, since I've been using Ridge, my back is like 100% better. Right. Also, dude, check this out. From Ridge, I ordered this. Right? I know you're recently married, right?
Yeah.
24 karat gold-plated ring. Look how beautiful that thing is. Right? Ridge.com. Again, use YouTube 10 to receive 10% off. And guess what? If you're a working man and you're working with electric, you don't want to be using gold. You want to burn yourself. They also come with a nice rubber ring that you can wear.
They got those.
We all know the wives. That's right. And the wives don't want to, they get pissed off if you stop using their shit, right? Or showing you married, because then some hot girl, she doesn't see you married, she's jumping all over your shit. Especially if you're using the Ridge wallet, dude.
Nice.
Look at that. Look how thin that thing is, Jimmy.
Does it come in different colors and stuff? I mean,
you know what? You're brilliant. And guess what they just came out with? NFL team Ridges.
Ooh.
So if you're a Jet fan and you want to show your Jet color, or you're a Yankee fan, you can wear your Yankee fan Ridge.
Okay.
So anyway, I recommend that. And
very nice. Well,
thank you
to Ridge.
Thank you to Ridge. I agree.
Thank you very much.
From the diamond to the end zone, from the studio to the sideline, we're the destination for sports on the Gulf Coast. ESPN Northwest Florida. Now back to the afternoon underdogs.
And welcome back to the afternoon underdogs here on a Thursday. Big high school football contest coming up for you tonight. Dave and the crew over there in Gulf Breeze, a couple hours away, going to have the Battle of the Dolphins here. Mosley looking to protect their undefeated season. We're going to get to that, but right now we're going to step in between the ropes. We're coming off the top rope with Monte and the Pharaoh. Jimmy, Mikey, it's been a while. Good to see you guys again. How are we doing?
I'm doing fantastic, Coach. But I think some things have changed here. I got a little worried. You guys are always very cordial to your guests.
Yeah, we try.
So there's this beverage thing over there, right? But next to it was a pail, and it said, "Do not throw trash on the floor." I'm assuming that's directed towards me, so I didn't take a drink, all right? I'm going to go dry for this whole performance. I don't want to get anybody in any further trouble around here. It's great to be back, though.
Oh, there you go.
I think it's for me. I just don't know how to read.
Oh God. Oy. Mikey, what up?
Great to be back, brother. Great to see you guys. Thanks for having us on.
Oh, absolutely. Look, we got so much wrestling we're going to get into, but I would be remiss if I did not start with, New Yorkers, born and bred here. Of course, I'm a Yankees fan, but I'm the transplant here. You guys are the true article. This is what the World Series should be. Yankees, Dodgers. Guys, what do we think?
You just gave me goosebumps. Well, not only is it perfect for Major League Baseball to have a matchup like this.
Yeah.
This is just a marketing dream for Major League Baseball.
Oh yeah.
But growing up during the '70s and watching the Yankees and the Dodgers and Billy Martin and Tommy Lasorda and Reggie, and then of course that Dodger team, that dang Dodger team.
Oh yeah.
That of course had finally got the better of us after we took them in '77 and '78, 1981. The late great Fernando Valenzuela gave us nothing but fits, but this is just a dream thing. Mike will probably be the first to tell you, ain't no way this was supposed to happen, right, Mike, with the Yankees? But I'm pretty excited, and if I dare make a prediction, Mike will get in the car, drive down here, and beat me senseless. So
you ain't kidding, Jimmy, but I'll tell you what, this is one exciting World Series. But God rest his soul, the great Fernando Valenzuela decided to take it home right before this World Series to motivate that Dodger team, which is upsetting to a Yankee team.
I told you Mike was going to say something. Mike, I got to be honest, I felt the same thing. I'm like, oh, come on, man. Couldn't you wait a couple weeks?
I'll be honest with you.
Isn't that terrible, Coach?
It is, but we were talking about this because, I'm a little younger than you two. Not a lot, a little bit, but I remember Fernando Mania and how big that was. And, all the ripple effect. A lot of people don't know. I hate that we're going to kind of expose a new generation to Fernando based on him passing. I was hoping we'd get it just based on the first time we've had Yankees-Dodgers since 81.
Right.
But, that it's certainly going to be a thing. But these are two high-powered rosters, but neither with what I'd call just a monster rotation. That's why I wasn't very bullish on the Yankees this year.
Right. It's been very, very surprising. Boy, Brian Cashman's making me look a little dopey here, because usually you look for that. What was I looking for? That I always look dopey?
No,
what are you getting at?
Fair enough.
But, in the past, when you look at great Yankee staffs that won championships, you had Catfish Hunter, Ron Guidry back in the 70s. During the 90s, you had Andy Pettitte, Roger Clemens, David Cohn, El Duque, David Wells. Then you move on to 2009, and you've got Pettitte, Sabathia, even A.J. Burnett, who stepped up against the Phillies in that World Series. This is a weird one, Coach. You're right about that. The pitching rotation. Hey, Cashman, you were right about something, because we're here.
That's right.
What do you think, Mike?
One last thing I want to say on Fernando Valenzuela.
Yeah.
I remember as a child, every time he pitched, I'd go to the newspaper to see if he kept that winning streak going. In the short time that he was what he was, it was probably one of the most incredible times I've ever seen a pitcher on the mound.
He was a sensation, and not for nothing. All this talk with Ohtani, and Ohtani's praise is deserved, of course, but Fernando could put one over the wall himself.
Yeah, and it was funny the way he morphed. He got the no-hitter late in his career with, I think, the Orioles, when he looked more like a banker than he did a baseball player. But the guy had a career.
Yeah.
So it was something. Well, look, we could talk World Series forever, but we got to get back to the ring. It's been a couple of months. Let me just start with a general what have we thought of the last couple of months of, WWE and, kind of where that... I guess we probably left off around Bash at Berlin to kind of where we are now. It's been interesting. We've seen The Rock again. Roman Reigns has come back. We've got a lot going on.
Right. Well, the machine rolls on. The Bloodline story continues to roll on. 4
years.
Can you believe this?
It's amazing.
It is amazing. Like I said, the machine rolls on. The product seems to be doing better business than ever. Mike, how would you sum up the last 2 months? Same as it ever was, like the talking heads with the hand running across the forearm? Or
this may be the greatest age of wrestling, but Jimmy and I will speak about it on tonight's show. Something went wrong Monday night. Samantha Irvin left the WWE. And I'm sorry. It seemed like wrestling became wrestling again, where Samantha Irvin, since 2020, I think, had made it a big-time sport. And I got to tell you, watching Raw, there was something missing, and it was Samantha Irvin.
Wow.
Yeah,
Lillian Garcia just got totally dumped on.
That's a really, well, look, I mean, she's rusty. She hasn't done this full time.
Yeah,
and she had a few little hiccups, but I think that's a really interesting point, Mike, because she really did, you know, there were occasions, you know, she would juice up a name. She's famous for Chelsea Green, but it added so much flavor to, you know, maybe the matches that weren't the ones that, you know, you thought you got hyped for things because she was so good and she was so likable. You know,
well, Coach,
I think it's interesting.
Not to interrupt you, Coach, but the one thing you'd say, we talk about Lillian Garcia. You could see the impact Irvin has had on the sport because Lillian was trying to compete with her.
She was.
At least step up, and she couldn't pull it off.
Right.
And that was a big-time example.
Right.
Yeah.
She should have just been herself because, you know, there's a reason why Lillian Garcia was the voice of that program for a long, long time.
Yeah, absolutely right. And, you know, I should have done this in the beginning, but I wanted to get right to the World Series. But obviously, Monte and the Pharaoh, you can catch them Cablevision, Facebook, YouTube. The back library is classic with a lot of great moments. Definitely need to check that out. But you guys, of course, will be live tonight. Couple of shows tonight.
Yes, sir.
I believe, you'll go 7 o'clock our time and then 8 o'clock our time, 8 and 9 Eastern. So what do we have in store tonight on Monte and the Pharaoh?
Mike, what do we have in store tonight? I just grabbed the scripts. I haven't looked at them yet.
What do we have in store tonight? Well, if you want to see Pharaoh in full Pharaoh, please tune in at 7:30.
Oh, boy.
Because there's a lot of things to discuss. And may I say, the last name to discuss is Mancini.
Yeah, we don't mean Ray Boom Boom either.
No, a little drama in the wrestling world, I hear.
Yeah. It's always finding us, trust me.
Yeah, definitely don't want to miss that. It's a wonderful show. I mean, when you guys have guests, it's phenomenal, and you have huge guests on your show. But, Jimmy, you and I have talked about this. I love it sometimes even more when it's just you two just going through wrestling, or a lot of the stuff that maybe we don't see or thoughts that we don't go deep enough on. Like Mike just hit me right between the eyes with the Samantha Irvin thing, and he was 100% right. I love watching. So all our listeners out there, I know you've caught them time and time again, but we've rarely been in here on a Thursday where we could go right into your show. So make sure you're listening to Monte and the Pharaoh tonight. So, guys, let me pivot a little bit to the business slightly. We're changing over everything, of course. SmackDown has come on to USA now, left Fox.
Correct.
Interesting move, been okay. You know, obviously not the same broadcast reach. NXT has moved to the CW. And Raw, for the rest of the year, will remain on USA before the big move to Netflix. But Raw has dropped to 2 hours instead of its traditional 3.
Right.
What do you guys think? We've had a couple now at 2 hours. The pacing of the show is definitely different, but does it feel rushed, or is it a better product at 2 hours than 3?
I don't mind a 2-hour program. I don't mind a 3-hour program if everything has a flow to it. Basically, I've not really even noticed that much of a difference, to tell you the truth. The presentations have been fine. Now, I recently read that everything's going back to 3 hours come January anyway.
Right.
So there's that, too. So I might as well not get too used to anything. What's the point of getting used to it? They're just going to switch back to what they're going to do previously. So, but so far, so good, so what? You know, I mean, like I said, the machine rolls on, and I really enjoyed this past week, too, you know, because there's a lot of good stuff going on. But why don't you guide us through what you're thinking about, you know, what's on your mind, Coach?
Well, it's interesting to me in that I think the first one felt rushed, but that's to be understood. I mean, that's a big change, and they've got a fairly large roster. It's not AEW large, but it's a fairly large roster.
No, that's stupid large.
Well, yeah, and so you're always worried about trying to get people their time and all, but I think they've kind of settled into it. I actually like the pacing of the show now. I thought with 3 hours you would get stuff just to kind of extend the time, if you will. And look, the crowd's going to be hotter if you're 2 hours than 3. I mean,
yeah.
Because look, they're getting there at least an hour ahead of time. I mean, you got dark matches. It wears on a crowd, and the crowd can make a show. I mean, Mike, we've talked about that before. The crowd. I mean, we've talked about it with PLEs. I mean, certainly down in Puerto Rico and France. I mean, crowd can make a show. What's been your take on this 2-hour Raw, or have you noticed any major differences?
I missed the 3 hours, I got to be honest with you. Especially as hot as the WWE's been. Like, you're not getting Chelsea Green. You're not getting some of the females. I don't say it's rushed, but they've got to get their stars in, and we're not getting those intermediate people like I'm used to and expecting. So I'm looking forward to go back through, back to 3 hours. But again, like Jimmy said, the machine rolls on.
So we're kind of at this. The last couple of months have been, probably the hardest time for the bookers, the writers, whatever they call themselves these days, Triple H even, because it's kind of that, you've got SummerSlam, but it's almost kind of that dead time between SummerSlam and Survivor Series. As things then, coming out of Survivor Series, you feel like you get the roll going to Royal Rumble, and then, of course, the big push to WrestleMania. So the fact that we're excited about the things they're doing, and they've done a good job with stories that maybe wouldn't have seemed main event level, but what Rhea and Liv have done for the last couple of months has just been phenomenal.
Awesome.
They've done a great job taking maybe not the top, I mean, Rhea is, but maybe not the top stories, and getting like a month, 6 weeks out of them to tell these stories. It's been phenomenal.
They have, but if I can jump on this, because it's been at the top of my mind ever since I saw it. I've been wondering about Bronson Reed for quite a while.
Oh, wow.
Seth Rollins returns, and I cannot wait to watch these two kill each other. Bronson Reed, when Bronson Reed won me over when he decided, I'm going to tsunami everybody in the building and I'm not going to stop. And he just kept, did he splash you, by the way, on that program, Coach? Because he just wouldn't stop. He was splashing
I wish. I need to lose some weight.
Oh, God. That would have been a quick trim. That would have been a quick trim off the gut.
You know what it reminds me of, and not to bring the whole natural disaster thing back together, it reminds me of in a way, you remember when they brought Tenta in as Earthquake, and he would just earthquake people over and over and over, and then Hogan had the band. It reminds me a little of that.
Yes.
I had some heat going like, dude, enough. And then he hits Bronson through the car, which visually was gorgeous.
Right, it was.
But there's another great example, Jimmy, of a story they're telling. Seth's a main eventer, but Bronson Reed has been a guy who's been kind of overlooked.
Right.
And they have projected him forward into a story that you've got to see.
But this is the magic of Seth friggin' Rollins.
Yeah.
I mean, immediately, Reed is elevated, right, Mike? I mean, like, immediately.
Absolutely, Jimmy. I'm a big Reed fan, so but the issue is when he loses, which he's going to lose, where does he go from there?
Right.
It's, they keep putting themselves into these holes where I don't know how they're going to get out of, and not to jump over the Braun Breaker Uso, but they put themselves in that hole. Uso wins the belt, and what do? They wait a couple of weeks and just reverse it back out because they have to go to the bloodline angle.
Right.
Some of the moves they're making, they're putting themselves in hole. Bronson Reed has a lot of upside. I agree with you. Seth Rollins makes everybody look great, guys. But Reed, losing to Rollins affects Reed. Reed cannot be losing because, he's going to lose his gas.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
I think you're right. And I actually think because Seth doesn't need it, I think they're actually going to put Bronson Reed over him. I could be dead wrong on that, but I think they're going to do it. Now, ultimately, where does it end? I mean, you've already told the monster versus monster story. Now you get I don't know where Bronson goes from here. I have this feeling they're going to put him over.
I have this feeling that no matter what we speculate over, they will find an answer to our questions because the bottom line is this, and I still remember us all raging and raving over when Sami Zayn had the nerve to beat Gunther. Who's the world champion right now, by the way?
Gunther. Yeah.
Okay, so what comes around goes around. If you're patient and if you write something correctly and you let it play itself out, they seem to have those answers to the questions that make us want to smack our heads against the turnbuckle until we can't feel anything.
Yeah. Yeah.
So there is that. There's some great writing going on over there.
I want to save a little bit of Crown Jewel for the next segment because I want to go in deep to some things that actually bother me a little bit about, and it doesn't have anything to do with Saudi Arabia, but some things
I'm disappointed. But go ahead.
Whatever. But obviously, where we're going from here is the lead up into Survivor Series, which is about a month away, I guess.
Right.
And I think what everybody's expectations are is some bloodline versus bloodline Survivor Series. And look, it looks in general like now you're getting more 5-person stables. Like it looks like they're going to do some of the old Survivor Series matches back to what we remember in around 90, 91, 92 when they started bringing these things in.
Right.
Bloodline versus bloodline. How do you tell that story and make it interesting while not diminishing anybody? Because the way they've elevated Solo and, of course, everybody's waiting for Jacob Fatu to break out. But you've got Roman coming in. Will Jay, won't Jay? I mean, they've got a lot of stories to tell here.
They do.
How can they tell the best story here going into and coming out of Survivor Series to set up? And obviously the big question mark that's out there is The Rock.
Right. Where does The Rock sit in all this? I'll tell you, my most recent observations, I am pleasantly surprised that Solo Sikoa is starting to get it as far as his promo work goes. His promo work this past weekend was fantastic. He did really well, and he was getting a lot of "we really hate your gut" chants, basically, which they were wholly blanking over and over again. But he's speaking much better. Oddly enough, Solo is acting a little bit more like his brothers on the mic now.
Yeah,
there's a little bit more of that "ooh-so" flair, and that was a wise move. So you have that going on. Everything and anything with Roman. I am so pinned to the set. The ceiling could cave in, and I would be like, did something just happen in the house? Roman's on. You know what I'm saying? So, there's many different ways we could go with this, and I have no clue where it's heading, and as I say it all the time, that's the best part of this. I have no clue where this is going. I will say, though, that I'm a little worried about Survivor Series future in general. It seems to be the overlooked. It used to be one of the big four, but it seems to be starting to get overlooked a bit. So this whole bloodline thing may bring back a little flair, like you said, to those early great days of the Survivor Series when we look forward to seeing 5-on-5 of certain combinations, because I think Survivor Series has kind of been falling to the wayside in comparison to the other 3 traditional ones.
Yeah. Mike, you and I have talked about this several times, Jimmy, as well, that we love heel Roman Reigns. I mean, it just works. And it was so phenomenal. And, yeah, you have to bring him in as a face. And this has been good, but it's not the same. For me, I'm waiting for bringing back the true tribal chief, Roman Reigns. That's the Roman Reigns that works. Do you think they're going to try and put that off until maybe a WrestleMania, a coming out of WrestleMania, try and get their Roman versus The Rock this year or whatever? Or do you think they turn him before then and try and make a big run toward WrestleMania? We may even get Cody Roman Part 3. I mean, who knows? Where do you see Roman going?
So that's a great point, Coach. But the one thing we have to look at now, Jimmy, yourself, you're right. The storytelling in the WWE is so intricate. You really have to pay attention. If we go back to when Cody was going to team up with Roman, notice Roman never really changes from the heel Roman Reigns.
True.
He stays with that same attitude, but the heel in that whole exchange is Cody Rhodes. Cody Rhodes has screwed over Kevin Owens. Cody Rhodes, right? This is the start of the bad guy. Now, I understand you want the heel Roman Reigns, but you really do have the heel Roman Reigns. The only difference is the crowd is behind the heel Roman Reigns.
Right.
My belief is Cody Rhodes will lose to The Rock at the Rumble. You will get Roman Reigns and The Rock for the title, being The Rock being the champion. Roman wins, and your heel will be Cody Rhodes in 2025.
Wow.
Now, the business aspect of me says, well, number one, selling merchandise. Do you really want to do that? and I'm always wrong anyway, so if anyone's listening, don't believe anything I'm talking about. But
all right,
I don't think you lost the heel Roman Reigns. He's the same character,
right?
Just under different circumstances.
Right. Yeah. Right.
That is all.
And to hammer home that point, I am just as passionately rooting for Roman Reigns, the alleged face, since he's come back, as I did when he was a heel.
Yeah.
Just as passionate.
Oh, I agree. Look, the ones are up. They were up before.
You ain't kidding.
Well, there's no better way to go to a break here. We've got a lot more to get to. We're going to take a little quick break here on the Afternoon Underdogs. You're listening to Monte and the Pharaoh and Brian and James and Lord knows who else is going to show up here. We got one more segment before we get into some high school football here. You're listening to ESPN Northwest Florida. Whoever did those rejoiners for us deserves a raise. I'm laughing like crazy in here. That was great. You're listening to the Afternoon Underdogs. Brian Haddad sitting in for David Hayes, who's got the call tonight of the Battle of the Dolphins, Mosley versus Gulf Breeze. That'll be coming up at 7 o'clock. But right now, we are back with Monte and the Pharaoh, Cablevision, Facebook, YouTube. They've got a couple of shows going tonight. Make sure you check them out, 7 and 8 p.m. Central Time, 8 and 9 Eastern. Let's get back to it, guys. All right, Crown Jewel coming up here in Saudi Arabia. Obviously, the Saudis paying big bucks for WWE. They seem to have a few demands as it goes. Whether or not we get Goldberg or not, we'll see. But I want to pivot off of that into what they're calling these the new Crown Jewel belt. And what they're doing is pitting champion versus champion. So on the men's side, we're going to have Cody versus Gunther, which ostensibly would be a match I'd be very interested in seeing. Sure. Women's side, Nia versus Liv, not so much. Kind of a clash of styles, but whatever.
Feel the same.
But first of all, let me ask you this before I get into my issues maybe with these matches.
Okay.
Guys, is this the ugliest belt that's ever been created?
You mean that thing that's bigger than the AWA championship back in the day?
Liv Morgan's going to get a hernia if she wins this thing.
Bro, I'm not lifting that thing. Mike, how about you? You're a power lifter back in the day, and you still power lift. Would you like to do a few curls with that Crown Jewel championship or what?
I'm still laughing over the fact that Coach said Liv Morgan's going to get a hernia from
I mean, look, there have been some ugly belts. There have been some great belts. It's what it is. I mean, it's a cheap gag. But here's my problem with this, and you guys tell me if I'm reading this the wrong way or whatever. But the fact that we're getting these matches kind of thrown at us, champion versus champion, without any real time or inclination to build a story around them is what bothers me. I don't watch a ton of AEW, but it feels very similar to their Forbidden Door that they do with New Japan, where they just put these matches together with nothing behind them and they fall flat.
Right.
My worry here, and look, I got to give Triple H and those guys room to prove me wrong because they always do, but my worry here is there's not a lot of meat on the bone with these matches. They haven't really told a great Cody Gunther story yet. A Liv Nia story. I don't know. Am I overanalyzing?
No, well, I'll double overanalyze you. First of all, why are we placating so much to Saudi Arabia when we do these events over there?
Money.
I understand. I understand. Just let me get my little rant out, will you? It makes me sick to my stomach that we placate to them. What is this championship supposed to stand for? Now, here's my biggest problem. There'll be a definitive winner, but the titles are not on a line.
That's right.
If you try to sell me that years back when Harley Race came to Madison Square Garden to fight Bob Backlund, oh, by the way, the titles aren't on the line, I ain't paying any attention.
That's right.
So like you said, how much can we invest in the matchup itself? Sure, it's a nice matchup. Gunther Cody's great. That sounds fantastic. But where's my emotional investment in other than, well, I know Mike's emotional investment will be die Cody. That's pretty simple. You know what I mean? And I'll be rooting for Gunther too, obviously. But where is the it's on the line. Everything is on the line. This is something that I love on the surface, but it's not for the belts.
Let me interrupt you on this one, right? So the Saudi shows are usually not a must-watch show.
Yeah.
They made it into a must-watch, right? I want to see Cody against Gunther.
Good point.
I know you guys aren't big on Nia versus Liv. I want to see that matchup. I think they Triple H pulled another one out of his hat.
Right.
I love it.
Right.
I just love it.
Right.
Interesting. Well, I'm hoping so. And look, every time I felt like, this isn't going to work, it does. And, you know, I should give him some rope and see how it goes.
So when Goldberg winds up spearing and helping, you know who win, you know, will you be mad, Mike, after Goldberg comes out and spears Gunther and then Cody wins and he's got that big belt that he can't even carry back to the dressing room? What do you think?
Jimmy, Coach, I was thinking about this, right? We all beat up on Goldberg. We're tired of him.
I love Goldberg.
But every time they bring him up, it's like, man, I want to see Goldberg. Right?
Yeah.
That's me. I'm like, I love Goldberg.
I love Goldberg.
He brings him back.
Yeah.
You know, so I got to personally think keep bringing the dude back, you know. And this is all leading anyway to Brock Lesnar returning against Gunther anyway, which, by the way, could be one of the great matches.
It really, really could. That's honestly... Look, first of all,
what a match.
Can we talk about the fact that Gunther has the line of the year with Bret Hart and saying my favorite wrestler, and of course everybody thought he was going Shawn, which would have been great.
Of course.
But when he threw Goldberg out, I laughed out loud.
Yeah,
and went, that's great. And then it brings Goldberg back into the mix,
sure
which
does.
I'm with Mike. I think Lesnar coming back is going to be perfect
for
that with Gunther. But yeah, Gunther has turned into an expert troll.
Yes.
And it's phenomenal to watch.
Yes, and I was the first one that was jumping up and down and screaming. Mike likes to remind me when I'm wrong, which is very rare, right, Mike? But
only on days that end in Y, right?
Oh, gee, thanks a lot. Yeah, happy Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Yeah, we get the idea. But I remember being furious when they changed Walter to Gunther. But again, I did not realize what Vince had in mind for the character of Gunther. This was not going to be Walter. They couldn't be more different, Walter, from Gunther.
That's right.
Gunther is everything that's right about a heel in professional wrestling. He's tremendous.
No.
What a machine. Love to hear him talk. Love to watch him wrestle. And you know that he's a perfect technician of what he does. He's great.
So I know we have so much fun with our not predictions, but what do you call them again, Jimmy?
Observations.
Observations over the scripted wrestling.
Yeah.
But let's just take these two matches, just throw them out there. Who do we think comes out the winner in this? Like, I mean, do we... I'll start it off.
Yeah.
I think you have to put Gunther over some way, but it's got to be some kind of cheap something or other. Something happens, some kind of distraction, something they do with Cody that then sets Cody up for the run, because if you are doing Bloodline, he's not going to be involved in that.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe it's Orton, maybe it's Owens, maybe whatever,
Mm-hmm.
but they got to do something there. And then on the women's side, I think probably the way to go is probably Liv getting some kind of weird win, but I don't know. What do you guys think?
I'm trying to picture them not letting their precious Cody Rhodes, you know, he's got to win the match, doesn't he? He's Cody Rhodes. I've never seen somebody more protected in my life with such safe booking.
I just think Gunther needs a win more than Cody does, and what he could do parading that belt around seems more fun to me than what Cody, you probably wouldn't see it.
You'd get a lot more mileage out of Gunther bragging about it.
Yeah, exactly.
For sure. So there is that, you know. Mike, what do you think about who's going to win that match?
I'm going with what you guys are saying. You got to give it to Gunther. Gunther could sit there and brag, and then Cody could go on to SmackDown and go, all right, well, he got one on me, Kevin Owens. You jumped me, and off to the races. We go with another, month of Kevin Owens versus Cody, and then Randy and whatever. Just get us to The Rock already and get this belt off this dude already.
This belt
I
off
don't
this
want to talk
dude.
about anything anymore, Cody. What do you want to talk about? I want to talk about you getting the hell out of here.
Yeah.
Very good.
I always
Very
love the suspended disbelief part of it, of a guy not on the card flying all the way to Saudi Arabia to do a run-in.
Right.
It just always cracks me up.
There you go.
Anyway.
What's going to happen with Goldberg anyway? Did we just see him for that and that's that?
I don't know. I mean, Saudis
feel
love
like
Goldberg. I don't know. It could be interesting.
See, that's where I see Goldberg coming out and giving Gunther a nice big spear or something like that. I don't know why.
Jimmy, Coach, I think Goldberg is for another event. They still got time to fill.
Right.
And then Lesnar comes back and whatever.
Right.
I'll be interested watching Gunther against Goldberg for how long it takes. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
It won't be bad.
All right, let's pivot now and talk about the best thing that has happened in the last couple of months and maybe all year. And I hope y'all agree with me. I think Jimmy does, because we've talked about it. Punk, McIntyre, the whole program was excellent. A little rocky start trying to work Seth into it, but Hell in a Cell, that might be one of the best matches I've seen in the last 20 years.
That was the thing of beauty.
It built.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of them hit these high points and die, and this match slowly built, and it told a great story. You didn't know who was going to win, but the thing that I loved about it, we talked about this in the break, Jimmy, after the match, it's not like, oh, you're dead enough to get pinned, and then 5 seconds later you're running to the back. Punk needed oxygen, quote, needed oxygen.
Gotcha.
He comes out the next night on Raw, and he's like, I don't know if I can do this anymore. Drew hasn't been seen since.
Right.
This is how you do it. Look, Punk's a seasoned vet. Drew's getting on there. He's a veteran, too, but he has elevated his game to another level.
Yep.
Am I overstating that this is at least the best match of the year, if not in the last several years?
It's my favorite match of this year so far, and it's what month is this? Pretty good job, guys. I mean, this has been going on since the beginning of the year, this feud. This was an amazing feud. This was everything that's right about wrestling was this feud. Yeah. And that final, rubber match, if you will, was absolute work of perfection. Work of perfection. And I do think the right man won. Tell you the truth, the right man won. He has completely transformed, as Mike points out all the time. The CM Punk that was in AEW is not the CM Punk that we've been enjoying since he returned. Right. Mike, what do you think?
I'll just say, Jimmy, I had to apologize to you because of my anti-Punkness, and you defended him. I'm sorry, Phil Brooks. You won me over.
Wow.
Those were some of the greatest matches I've ever witnessed in my life. And Drew McIntyre, not a bad deal, too. So I agree with both of you guys.
Did you guys flinch as much as I did when Drew took that bump onto the stairs in the ring and he hit it halfway on, halfway off? Mm-hmm. I thought legitimately his back was broken. That's one of the few where I literally jumped up and said, oh my God, I just saw something.
Yeah, it looked like he could have seriously never even taken another step again. Not to mention the fact, the bleed factor.
Yeah.
What was going on there?
That was a flare blade job.
My Lord, man! I mean, who'd you get your lessons from on how to do this? Because that Heinz ketchup bottle is definitely all over the floor. That was rough. That was rough. But what a beautiful feud that was. That was fantastic.
100%. One last question for you guys. I mean, we could do this all night, but you guys have a show to get ready for. But I do want to ask you this because it's piquing my interest, and we're getting closer to it. Back earlier this year, we announced the John Cena kind of retirement tour where he's going to be wrestling pretty much all next year.
Right.
Obviously his last WrestleMania, but that won't be the end of it for him. Let me ask the question of, do we think it will happen and do we think it's the right thing? There's kind of this sacred number in, everybody has it, 56 in baseball with DiMaggio, and you have these numbers.
Sure.
16.
Right.
Flair.
Right.
Cena,
right.
Orton's a little behind, Triple H's a little behind. They think maybe Orton might get there, and maybe we have an Orton-Cena. But number one, do we think Cena gets number 17? Is that the whole point in this retirement tour? And number two, is that a good idea to take Cena on beyond Flair?
You'll have to take the temperature of the fan base if you're going to do something like this. So they'll probably, if they are thinking to do that, they'll probably dip their little toe in the water, and they'll see how the fans react towards it. If the fans seem positive and want this to happen, I mean, I've watched fans, want some very silly things to happen, like Kofi Kingston becoming world champion. So this is, to me, is much more something I could get behind.
Sure.
John winning his 17th title than a Kofi Kingston situation. So I would say that we're just going to have to see if they decide to move in that direction. If they do it right, and if the fans want it, then why not? Mike?
I remember Vince McMahon saying way back when he was trying to put Hogan out the pasture that he told Hogan, I want you to be our Babe Ruth. Well, we know how that did not happen. The WWE still doesn't have their Babe Ruth. They're going to give that belt to John Cena. He will get his number 17, and they'll pony him around for the next 10 years as the greatest champion of all time. And to be honest with you guys, if one wrestler or one human being deserves it, John Cena's the guy.
Yeah, he sure does.
I think they're all in. It's written in stone. John Cena, number 17.
No better way to end it than that. Guys, make sure you check out Monte and the Pharaoh Cablevision Facebook, YouTube. 2 great shows tonight, and it's liable to get pretty interesting tonight, so make sure you catch up on that.
You might be right, Rabbit. You might be.
As always, Jimmy, love seeing you again. Mike, love talking with you guys. Next time I get up to the city, I'm definitely, first of all, Jimmy, you're going to have to come with me.
Okay.
And Mike, and you two are going to have to show me an authentic New York that I haven't seen,
yes,
and then
sir.
you know I'll,
yes,
I'll make sure my will is all updated before that.
It's a little dangerous there, but the pizza's awesome.
We're waiting for you, Coach. We're waiting.
There you go.
Guys, thanks a lot as always.
Absolutely. Monte and the Pharaoh, catch them tonight. Guys, that's going to do it for us here on the Afternoon Underdogs, but when we come back, we're going to go right into the high school kickoff show here. Got Benji Bomadello from the PCB News Herald. We're going to talk some high school football on the lead up to Mosley and Gulf.